one small moment from your life. You have to start with a catchy lead, and that's what we were working on and we're going to continue working on today. And you have to have a beginning, middle, and end. Now, there are lots more that we're going to learn, but today I taught you 2 different ways to write leads. Do you remember what they were?
Mm-hmm.
What were they, Jennifer?
They were, forgot what the first one was called.
Okay.
The one talking.
Yes, dialogue leads or talking leads.
And,
Can you help her, Priscilla?
small moment.
No, not small moment. Dialogue for your leads for the beginning. Ayana, action. Okay, can you guys let Mary in, please? Mackenzie? Can you
I'll try.
Okay, and maybe Mary, next time let's just pick a spot where people don't have to move. Okay? So, I'll review with you real quick the examples that I showed you for action and for a talking or a dialogue lead, and then I'm going to teach you 2 more different kinds of leads. Okay? So, shift your bodies to the smartboard.
My body was ready to become difficult. Sorry.
Let's get this fellow warmed up.
Nope, don't sit in the chair.
All right, so we learned about an action lead. Here was an example I gave you of an action lead. I dove into the ocean, kicked my feet in the cool water, stood up, and wiped the water from my face. I paused. Something strange near the rocks caught my eye. Do you see all the actions that are underlined? Dove, kicked, stood, wiped, paused. Those are all actions, something that the character in the story did, the author. Now, still the same story about seeing something near the rocks. However, this time, the author tried a talking lead or a dialogue lead. What a great day for the beach, I yelled as I splashed in the waves. Suddenly, I stopped. What in the world is that over there by the rocks? Still the same story about the rocks, but they tried out a different lead. They tried a dialogue lead. And the person that was talking was herself, wasn't it? I yelled as I splashed in the waves. Okay, so, and then here were some other examples. This one. Quick, hit the floor, my dad yelled. Oh, this is the talking one. Whatever you do, don't look up, my mother added, as I dropped to the floor and slid myself under the bed. It was a terrifying night for my family when we discovered a bat in our house. So they began with dialogue. Quick, hit the floor, my dad yelled. Action. I threw on my favorite dress and scrambled down the stairs as fast as I could. It was my 8th birthday and I couldn't wait for the party to begin. So there's the actions again. Threw on my favorite red dress, scrambled down the stairs as fast as I could. Okay? So what I'm going to teach you today is a question lead. A lot of times people like to start their stories with a question.
Yeah, I know this one. I think,
How bad could it be? That's what I wondered before my family left for our camping trip with all 7 of us piled into one car. You see how they started with a question? How bad could it be? Right here.
Does that come out?
Yeah, it will. This one actually doesn't come out.
There's some stained in.
Okay, another one that is always a favorite of my students because it's pretty kind of fun to come up with these is a sound effect lead. And let me try this one first. Kersplash! The waves crashed over me. as I stood staring at the strange sight out on the jetty. So this is still about seeing something out on the rocks. The sound effects, you guys. Sound effects are something like this. Kerr splash, where you write out the sounds that you're hearing. So this one, smash. So do you see that sound effect lead? There was a smashing sound, so they wrote the sound effect. Smash. The window cracked. The wind howled and the door flung open. Rain poured in through the screen, drenching the welcome mat inside our house. I will never forget the fierce storm that invaded my family's house last night. Okay? A lot of you know, and this is a big word, but I know probably a lot of you have heard this word, onomatopoeia.
Yep.
Have you heard those before?
Yep. No. Yep. I think so.
Onomatopoeias are what you will use a lot when you write a sound effect lead. An onomatopoeia is just like a sound effect, like they said, so it's kerr splash, smash, any kind of sound that you might hear. Whoosh went the wind. Boom went the cannon.
Cash.
Raise your hand if you have some more ideas. Mary. Went the owl. The owl said in the night. Jennifer.
Bang, bang.
Bang, bang went the gun. Octavian.
Swish, swish with the wind.
Went the wind. I was thinking of swimmer. Swish, swish with the swimmer in the water. Or the wind. Or went the trees blowing in the wind. Swish, swish. Yeah, or the leaves. Priscilla. I'm not sure how you would spell that.
But lots of F's.
Went the wind.
No.
Kylie D.
F. Kapow.
Kapow. And what made that sound?
A boat in the water.
A boat in the water?
Crashed. Some kind of bang.
Some kind of a bang. So, Anna, just a minute. Make sure if you have your hand raised, or if you don't have your hand raised, you're not speaking.
Bang, bang, pow.
And that's
I don't know.
Oh. Sometimes when you are, sometimes when I'm telling my story and I'm telling it across my fingers, sometimes, and I've told you this, I close my eyes so I can picture it better happening. And sometimes as I'm picturing it, I hear sounds that are happening as I'm telling my story. That's when you might want to include an onomatopoeia or a sound effect. Okay, so for instance, if I was telling the story about my dirt bike, I know a sound, I heard lots of sounds, but a sound that I heard a lot were the trees swishing, because I was up in the mountains, so there were lots of trees, and as the wind blows, the trees move, and you can kind of hear them creaking a little bit, so I might do a creak, creak. I heard the trees moving with the wind.
That scares me. I think the tree's gonna fall.
It sounds like they are, but they're not. So that could be a sound effect that I would use in my story.
Or sometimes you do.
I don't remember where I started writing it.
My tree fell. It's a really big old tree.
Here we go.
A big branch fell.
So in my story, just like last week, you're going to go back and you're going to try some leads. But let me show you a couple of examples with my story about going up the mountain on my dirt bike, the hill. So I wrote the date here. Here was my action example, remember? I revved up my dirt bike and sped around the corner. Okay? Dialogue. That is the biggest hill I have ever seen. See how it started there, my beginning? Okay, so today I'm going to continue with your leads. So again, make your title so when you go back and look at your notes, you can easily find your leads. Write the date. It is 9-14. And my first one is going to be a question lead. Let me think. Oh, I can think of a question. So my story begins when Blake and I are just reaching the hill. Okay? So a question I might have is, So this might be a question I would start with. I drove up to the hill and I thought, how bad could it be? My younger son did it. That's kind of what I was thinking. I'm like the old person adult here. I should be able to do it. He did it. Hand down for right now, Jennifer. Okay, so that's one example of a question lead that I could use for my story. Octavian, I need your eyes up here. Okay, now, sound effect. And of course, you know, some of you are finishing earlier, and you know I'm always going to say when you think you are done, you've just begun. You've only just begun. So if you get done and there's still writing time, go back and think of another question lead that you could think of. Or think of some details that you could add to the one that you already put. Okay, when you think you're done, you've only just begun. Writing is awesome like that because you can always find more to add to or change. So a sound effect lead. Box. Let's see. I already said the one about the trees, so it kind of sounds like a I kind of close my eyes. That's kind of what I picture them doing. I picture them swaying a little bit, and then I can hear that sound. So, and I kind of go creak. Swaying. And it wasn't a real windy day, but it was kind of a little bit of a breeze. In the breeze. As I stopped at the biggest hill ever. Squeeze it in there. Okay, so I'm still writing about the same story. There were a couple of you that were a little bit confused. You thought you had to write a different lead for different stories every time. You already chosen one story. You told it across your fingers. You wrote a beginning, middle, and end for it. That's the story that you're writing leads for. Okay? Don't go and choose another story. I don't want leads for 5 different stories. You've chosen a story you're going to write about. Let's start to build on that one. Okay? Any questions about what you're going to go back and do today? Priscilla, thanks for raising your hand.
What if we're not done